Welcome everyone in another episode of the Talking with Francesco series. Today I'm super excited, and it's also not the usual time we go live, but it's fine. You will know why in this live stream. First of all, I would like Joshua Tobkin to introduce himself. Joshua is the CEO of Supra, and I'm sure that you also do many things. So I would like you to give an introduction, and then we can start.
Yeah, thanks for having us here, Francesco. So my name is Josh. I'm a co-founder CEO at Supra. And what we do is we're bringing new blockchain technologies to the Web3 space. So we're building a very different type of blockchain. Our blockchain is more than just a smart contract platform. We're vertically integrating both the smart contracts with Oracle price feeds, as well as on-chain randomness. And the major two components that are coming out this month, happy to talk about that, is automation, a decentralized if this or that service, as well as cross-chain communication, layer one to layer one communication. And there's a lot of magic that happens when you put all of these things together in a single unified smart contract platform.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is so much to talk about, and I think we'll not even fit this in 8 hours long interview. You already gave some spoilers, which is nice, so you have to stay until the end. And the reason why I started this series is that I want also people to share a bit more about their story and why they're doing what they're doing and so on. So I would like to go back in time. I don't know exactly when this initial idea started, and I would like to know more about the past and what inspired you to do all of this, because I'm sure that there is like a huge amount of work behind. But I would like to know the first spark, because now it's big, but at the beginning there is nothing. So I'm really curious about to hear this.
Okay, yeah. So I was in San Francisco. This is late 2016, 2017. A friend saying, hey, you've been paying attention to Bitcoin. And I said, not really. I know what it is, but I'm not really involved in it. And she said, there's something called Ethereum, you know? And I was like, okay, it sounds cool, but I mean, as a name, I was like, oh, that's a cool name, but like, it sounds like a really bad database. I'm sorry, I don't know why this is useful, right? So back then, I'm working in software as a service, startups, consulting, etc. In SaaS, you're focused on central control and very high performance, right? You want your application to be really fast. So this idea of a blockchain didn't really make sense to me. Fast forward about 3, 4 months later, she pulls me over and says, hey, Josh, take a look at this. Shows me her Ether wallet, right? And it was 100,000. And I was like, wasn't that just like 10, 15,000 a couple months back? She goes, yeah, she said she ran it up. And I was like, whoa, okay. Well, I guess I should pay attention to this a little bit more. So finally I like dug into it and I realized there is a trust problem. And I reflected upon one of my SaaS products that I sold to my partner maybe 10 years before that. And I realized like in that business, I used to complain to my partner that I feel like they're not giving us good data, right? Our user numbers are growing, but our sales were plateauing. It just didn't really make sense, but we have no way to prove it. So once I realized, oh, there is like a trust problem, middleman problem, then I got very interested in blockchain. I put my SaaS product on automation, just like a small team running it. And even to this day, it still exists and small teams still running it. And I don't involve myself in it at all. But that allowed me to go all in blockchain. I spent most of my time outside of work basically trying to study how to scale Ethereum. That was pretty much the only real chain in town. And then one day, towards the end of November, I've been at this stage. I'm reading white papers and studying the stuff like as much as I can, between other tasks. And it just clicked for me. I'm in San Francisco. It's like November 2017. Just this idea of like, what if we randomly shuffle the nodes into subcommittees and then had them do different work? And that was the beginning of our tribes and clans model. And that was a pretty big insight. But the truth is, I didn't know what I was talking about. But decided like, okay, there's something here. I knew that for us to shuffle those nodes into these subcommittees, we call them clans. So the whole thing is called the tribe. Clans, I needed some way to get randomness on chain. Blockchains are deterministic closed loop systems. How do I get randomness on chain? So I was like, okay, I gotta get oracles. I need oracles because I need to um, get weather data, stock prices, cryptocurrency prices, combine them in unique ways to create on-chain randomness. You know, so I knew oracles were going to be important, and at least that alone, like layer one with Oracle and scaling, trying originally to scale Ethereum, led to us creating our Unity Chain labs. Labs, basically Supra labs today, right? And I met my co-founder in San Francisco Blockchain Week, January 2018, John Jones, and like 3 months later, he called me up and said, "Hey, Josh, I want to be your first investor. I want to co-found this with you. Let's go create Unity Chain Labs together, and let's go to Taiwan." That's where he was living. He was an American, but and it was from the Bay Area. Went to Berkeley, but he knew that SF is kind of an expensive place to bootstrap. So he said, "I got family in Taiwan already. Let's check it out." So we moved there, set up our labs, and that was like 7 years ago.
Yes, and this is also really close enough to when I had my first full DevRel role. It was November, December 2017, so we can say we started together. And yeah, it's always inspiring. And in 2017 there was not like blockchain was probably not well known, at least let's say talking about social media and Twitter, than what it is now. And now I also know why it's called like Supra Labs, like the labs. I wanted to ask about that. And yes, so thank you so much for sharing a bit of the behind the scenes of like the backstory. And if you are here in the chat, you can also drop some questions. But now I would like to know, we warmed up with this very inspiring story. Now, and you are probably the best person on the planet Earth to ask what is Supra. So I would like to hear this directly from you. Thank you.
Sure. So Supra is ultimately a blockchain. We talk about blockchains as world computers, right? But world computers should be able to speak to the world. They should be able to speak to each other. They should have automation. They should speak more than one language, right? But blockchains today lack oracles, which are required to get external data, the world data, onto a blockchain. Blockchains today lack cross-chain communication. You need cross-chain communication protocols or bridges. And blockchains lack automation, a decentralized if this or that service or a cron job. And automation actually is something I'm really excited about. The layer one with smart contract platform, Oracle data, automation, that is a very, very powerful stack that can enable things that can turn a blockchain that is passive, a passive ledger, into a responsive, real-time, reflexive ledger. It basically it can act like a computer. So blockchain can actually act like a computer when you have the ability to speak to the outside world, have automation, have fast performance and such. So what Supra is doing is we call it a vertically integrated stack, a single layer one with Oracle, with multiple smart contract platforms like languages we can support, automation, cross-chain communication. This whole vision is coming to fruition very soon. Some of these we launched with, and some of them are just being refined and almost ready for testnet. And some of them are already on mainnet. So it's a very exciting time, and I'm looking forward to share more about this.
Yes, of course. This was just a brief introduction, but you really gave an idea of which problem it solves, especially with the oracles. I also created some content, of course, about oracles and stuff. So if you are into blockchain, you probably understand some of these problems that Supra is solving. And when I posted about this live stream, I noticed a huge amount of responses, retweets, like people are really waiting for this. So we can we say that, let's say, being vocal on a platform like Twitter, now it's called X, of course, but I still call it Twitter. Let's say, what has been the aspect of being so vocal, and also sharing about the technical aspect, because we can also be on Twitter and just put some funny stuff. So I also do that sometimes, but I also, for example, like to have also a part when I share something a bit more technical. This is a choice, of course. So what about this part and all this part of like being vocal on social media, but in a technical meaning?
Yeah, so I try to use Twitter as a tool or X as a tool. I try to distill our ideas in simple terms, and it's still considered complex. I literally go through the white papers, light papers, to blog posts, to Twitter threads, to explain it to me like I'm 5 years old, and it's still too complex sometimes. So I think though, folks, if you keep on kind of sharing about it and talking about it and explaining things and being patient, it can go a long way. And I think it's pretty fascinating what Supra is building. Actually, we have like maybe 12 white papers written by real like renowned computer scientists at Supra. And to make Supra work, there's many sub protocols, single stack, many protocols, each of them themselves, many of which completely written from scratch from first principles. So it's a very complex system, but it's all deterministic. It all fits within. It's all tuned to be high performing, and there's a lot of advantages there. There are pros and cons to X. There's some really strange and difficult people out there, and then also there's amazing people. So you kind of balance it. These days, I think really more than anything, it's really important to continue to educate and share like why things matter, and also promote the community, help other dApps in the super ecosystem and get more exposure. And yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on lately at Supra. Like, there's so much. The work is never ending. Let's be honest. But it's yeah, I've been really enjoying kind of working with the researchers and engineers. What's coming for Supra is really amazing. Like, it's it's a dream come true. Let's put it that way. And it's gonna do amazing things that other blockchains cannot do.
Yes, thank you, and I would like to really thank you because I really like, the energy that you transmit, even if you are in an online event, because I can really feel that you love what you do, which is something I think it's a privilege to live by that. And so, thank you so much. And of course, when we talk about blockchain, we start making comparison. Like you already mentioned Ethereum, then I would say, hey, but Solana, but Sui, or but other blockchain. So now I would like to know from your point of view, what do you think that makes Supra stand out comparing to other blockchain? We hope we don't offend anyone, but we are talking from a technical perspective, of course. And I would really like to know about this because I'm sure that someone will say, "But this other blockchain." So let's talk about this hard question.
Sure. I mean, there's some great projects out there, and Supra, we're very different. Like, our design principles are very different. We took the opposite approach of the modular stack. Okay, so what is the modular stack? That's like the primary like Ethereum layer 2 design. We have a layer 2 sequencer, you have a data availability layer, um, maybe a cross-chain communication service, a external Oracle service, and also a settlement layer like Ethereum. The modular stack has all these different networks that are providing different services to each other, right? Now, what we realize is in that design, you have more latency, you do not have shared security, it's more expensive, and it's a worse developer experience. Because now you have to manage all these coins from all these different services. Your service has to communicate with an external network. They have to run their protocol and respond back to you, so on and so forth. You don't have the shared security because it's not a unified set of nodes. They're different, you know, services, and you inherit the weakest component, the security of the weakest component. That becomes your default security. On Supra is like a mega monolithic system. Okay, any global scale software is still going to be modular though. So we're mega monolithic, but we have modular components. Our different algorithms, protocols don't all like we can update them individually without interrupting the entire system, right? So it's a unified system that can do multiple services in one across the same randomized node network, right? So in one epoch, you might be running Oracle services, price feeds. Another one, you might be running on-chain randomness or verifiable compute services, right? Different types of things. And our philosophy is shared security, unified large system with shared security. Each component, however, is modular, so we can update these components step by step as necessary. And at the same time, it's a single developer experience, one developer, one framework, single token, faster, secure, easier to develop on. That's our vision. That's what we're moving towards. And yeah, this is a fundamental difference between us is how the network is architected and how we kind of maintain consensus. We have our own consensus algorithm called Moonshot, which for its leader-based BFT algorithm is considered globally as the limit, the fastest you can get, you know? And we also focus on scalability, not only not only the amount of nodes, actually I meant to say not only the amount of transactions, but also the amount of nodes this algorithm can handle. So there's many other layer ones that are very fast, but you're gonna see they cannot scale beyond 150 nodes, maybe even 100 nodes before they have problems. It's just so we measure all these things, design accordingly. Decentralization is gonna matter. And in our system, we need to be decentralized in order to have the security properties of randomizing the nodes into subcommittees from the tribe to clans to provide multiple simultaneous services in parallel. So we do believe that our architecture is going to allow Supra to have the most diverse types of execution services, all kinds of different services, but also the most compute capacity of any other layer one right now. So we're really excited about this, and we're the first to do it this way.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting this in so simple terms. So I also now have a better understanding of how it works. And of course, I'm sure there is a modularity behind the scenes, so behind what people see. And I like the fact that you don't have dependencies. Like you depend less on other technologies that, of course, might fail or might have some security issues. I think that's the worst possible one. So yes, but can we say honestly that you are going like in a different direction rather than other blockchains? So or let's say we have so let's say we have like so many people like advocating for modularity. Let's say we can say that modularity is everywhere. Okay, probably even behind your scenes. So what's the difference in the implementation, and what is the proposition of an integrated chain? And I also like also to ask about the sustainability, like what's the sustainability of a modular ecosystem or an integrated ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a very good question about sustainability. I'll definitely dive into that. So I already described a bit about the difference in design philosophy that Supra has as a unified system. We've been described in the past as a mega monolithic unified system with modular components, right? So that's still our node network doing multiple services together with proof of stake, one token for the entire system. Now, the modular stack, right? There's different services for different components run by different nodes that are not part of your token economic security, right? And so you will have a token for a data availability layer. You'll have a token for the settlement layer, a token for the Oracle, the bridge, the automation, you know, and it gets complex and expensive fast. And we talked about security already. Security is a problem when you use these other external networks that are not part of your system or your engine. And now you have integrated and inherited the security of the weakest component that you've integrated with. In terms of sustainability, this is another major question. So where is the value capture in blockchain, right? So right now, the major ones are transaction fees, and then like it or not, it's MEV. And it's not great, by the way. Like MEV, maximum extractable value, for blockchains is actually a major driver of business models right now for node operators as well as like algorithmic trading firms, etc. And that is most of that is what is called toxic MEV, which is hurting the execution quality for the end consumer. I would argue that in the modular stack, there are way more MEV opportunities and opportunities for manipulation than there is in a vertically integrated stack. So that's another point. But in terms of sustainability, to get to your question, these services, like for example, even Celestia, right? This is a data availability layer. I believe they've earned $300,000 worth of revenue since they started. That's a tough one. I mean, that's not a great business model. In general, transaction fees or data spaces, these are kind of actually not great business models in general. Like layer one, smart, these next generation blockchains, we have so much capacity. Transaction fees are actually a race to the bottom, right? So it's hard to charge more when you can just execute for sub penny. So actually, these modular components are all going to have to deal with where do they generate revenue. They may have a token that'll sustain them for some time, but everyone's going to ask eventually, where is the revenue coming from, right? And I do want to mention that Supra is super focused on revenue generating strategies. And it turns out the layer one with the Oracle price feed and the automation enable new business models and revenue generation for the system that no other chain can do. So I think it's tough. The economics long term are tough for the modular stack.
Thank you for sharing this, because I think that having a model which is sustainable is probably what keeps us going even in day to day life. And I like how like your approach, and I can say that in Supra it seems that you are thinking out of the box, like not doing something just because everyone else is doing that. So this is it takes probably a lot of energy, but it seems like an interesting model, and we will see in the future. But we're already seeing in the past few months and few weeks that something cool is happening. Stay until the end, so we also share some cool stuff. And now, Joshua, since we are on YouTube, and the people on YouTube really love the versus thing, like something rather than this, I don't know, JavaScript versus Python. So now we have to go into this this question. So let's talk about move versus EVM. So what do you think? Where do you think the future lies? I have an idea of your answer, but I would like you to elaborate.
Yeah. So our point of view are that blockchains are a new type of computation platform. And as a new type of computation platform, we ourselves don't really need to be that opinionated about the programming layers. So a computer today, you can run, Linux, OS, Windows, same machine. You could do that. So why can't blockchains run different programming languages or virtual machines? Now, we went to market in our layer one with Move language. So our layer one started with the Move language smart contract platform. We are big fans of Move. We think that developers coming from the Web 2 space going to Web 3 space are going to find this way more natural. And it also has its wonderful qualities of it's generally more secure, right? And there's a lot of work that's been put into MoveLang and designed by the original like Meta Facebook team, right? Who are now the founders of Aptos and Suite, right? And Facebook is very good about languages. I believe they created GraphQL and React and now MoveLang. They're really good at that, and Llama now, like they have some great open source work. So we believe that MoveLang is going to slowly but surely start to get a lot more adoption. But there's a huge community. Most smart contract platforms today are EVM based. It's kind of like the JavaScript of Web3, right? And we think that EVM is going to stay here for a long time as well. So we are actually designing a multi-VM system where we can let developers from any programming language, starting with Move and EVM, Ethereum smart contract Solidity, and then even Solana VMs, SVM, and even Cosmosm we plan to roll out. So along the way, though, we are making major innovations on the parallel execution of these things. So for example, we are rolling out EVM, and we have been researching and implementing step by step here, improving that our ideas in terms of parallel execution can actually make EVM execution pretty scalable, like very, very good and very fast. It turns out, just to be clear, for parallel execution, or just for execution of these virtual machines, the user experience end-to-end for the transaction, the vast majority of the latency, the time it takes to complete the transaction, is actually data dissemination, then consensus. It's about 60%. Execution is around 20%. So highly optimizing 20% of the life cycle of the transaction load, it has benefits for sure, but it's not going to have like really the thing that really matters in blockchains is data dissemination and consensus, as you know. So those are 60% of the life cycle journey. So we spend a lot of time on that, but also that 20% matters. So we also spend a lot of time on parallel execution strategies for Move language, Ethereum, EVM, even SVM, Solana Virtual Machine. We think our ideas for parallel execution on the Solana Virtual Machine are going to outperform sea level, which is their parallel execution engine. So it's yeah, it's really fun. It's exciting, and our point of view is like let's just build a very high performance infrastructure that can run these different programs from different existing ecosystems.
Thank you so much, Joshua. We have some questions, but first I would like to keep going with this conversation. Maybe at the end we will take some, because for example, as people are curious about some aspects of blockchain, let's say not just the Supra one, but the more generic one, which is nice. If you're in the chat, of course you can help other people, of course. But I would like to keep going on the technical aspect, and I would like to know more about this MultiVM on this chain. So can you explain, even in a podcast, how this does work in practice? Maybe I'll make a video about that, who knows. But let's say just to ask this, like we are at a bar with a friend with a beer in our hand. Like, how would you explain this?
Sure. So I do want to mention that at Supra, we are constantly experimenting with different strategies because ultimately we just want to find the ground truth. What is the ultimate best design, right? Now, our general strategy for multi-VM execution is the following. So imagine you have the tribe. The tribe is a network of nodes, okay? And then the tribes are randomly shuffled into subcommittees, different groupings of nodes called clans. Now, the major insight at Supra is that we know that consensus, we do need super majority of the nodes in the tribe, in the network, for transaction ordering. So consensus is like the ordering of events. And if we all agree on the ordering of events, then these subcommittees, these clans, they can actually be executing different things simultaneously. So one clan can be executing the Move language virtual machine. Another clan can be executing the Ethereum virtual machine. Another clan can be executing the Solana virtual machine. These clans, this is where it gets interesting. The tribe has to be 67% honest. We can tolerate up to 33% Byzantine nodes. The clan has this very unique attribute. As long as the system itself has less than 33% Byzantine bad nodes, the clan can tolerate up to 50% or 49%. The probability that the clan can actually have 49 bad nodes out of the entire system that has only 33% bad nodes, the probability is very low. And most of the execution tasks are actually only require simple majority agreement. They don't require super majority agreement. So a clan can execute a smart contract and at the 51% of a subcommittee of the entire network. Okay, so what's interesting about that, if you kind of zoom out and conceptualize it, what's going on here is you have, the entire system, you have a random subset of the entire system called clan, and you only need half of them, 51% of them, to execute. So it's like imagine the network is being random sampled to execute this with these probabilities. And what allows us to do is basically execute a lot, across all these different nodes. And this is basically how we handle this. Now, the second approach we're working towards is a single execution clan. So we have run experiments with a single node executing move language, Ethereum, EVM, and Solana, single node, and we're still getting really good numbers. So it sounds like maybe a single clan can do all the execution. Another clan can do Oracle, another clan can do verifiable compute, cryptography, encryption, decryption, but everyone, remember, is still doing consensus. That's our design. Everyone does consensus. And so what's nice about the second design of a single execution clan is that we can have composability across VMs. So the assets can move freely and within and interact with each other. The design of the kind of design of the first design I mentioned, we don't actually have single full composability. You have to communicate clan to clan to move assets across these virtual machines, but you have way more scale. You definitely have more scale. You can have more throughput, more execution, even more, like extreme amounts we can handle that way. This other design is we can have composability with the trade-off being the total amount of scalability of throughput, execution capacity. So we're experimenting with both, understanding them. They're both very good ideas, both of them. And we're deciding on which approach to go to. Whatever the data says in the end, we'll follow the data.
Thank you, and I really like this approach. Of course, maybe you would need a more like technical and graphs and things, but I've been following the core ideas of how basically you delegate, let's say, work on different clans, on different tasks, I would say. So really curious and interesting approach. So thank you so much for making it so clear, even if we were not just sitting at a bar having a beer. I would like to have a break now for the technical aspect, even if I'm enjoying it, because we haven't talked about the team. So I'm sure that you are not the only one working at Supra. So I would like to know more about the team, how maybe you maybe got curious, like maybe high, let's say, profiles, or maybe people who are very experienced. So how, like, can you share something about the building of the team? And I would like also to ask you about like how it was maybe in the beginning, in the first 6 months, and how is it now. So I would like to know, the before and after comparison.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, so our team is like 115 people, more than that now, and we're all around the world. I think there's people and teammates from over 25 countries as that are part of Supra. And yeah, no, it's been a big journey. We started when it was just John and myself originally, and then we created the labs, right? And we got to about 5 people in the labs. And this is like the 2018, 2019 bear market. There's no guarantee that the world cares about blockchain yet, you know. And we survived by just doing, uh, consulting work, building some tech and writing some white papers for other projects. And we also, along the way, we were trying to refine our ideas, like a lot of study, a lot of study, a lot of trial, a lot of error, etc. Now, eventually, though, um, so remember how I mentioned in San Francisco, we had this idea of the tribes and clans architecture, but I needed randomness on a blockchain, right? I was in order to shuffle the nodes, and I studied how to get randomness on a blockchain. And what you need to do is basically get threshold signatures. These are cryptographic signatures, special type, uh, into the blockchain, and then from there, that actually the output is deterministic but unpredictable. So that can be the source of randomness. So I kind of done studying other approaches, and I came across this approach, and I realized to have threshold signatures, you need to have DKG, distributed key generation. So DKG, I studied that quite a bit, trying to understand it. It was way over my head. And I came across a paper called DKG in the Wild by Dr. Kate, Dr. Kate. It looks like Kate, Dr. Kate, but it's actually Dr. Kate. So he's the original author of that. And we were at the crypto lab and we just sent him an email, cold email. Hey, Dr. Kate, we appreciate DKG in the Wild. We had some questions. And what we proposed was something along the lines of a multi-level, like hierarchy-based DKG system, because we wanted to assign the cryptographic signatures on the tribe level, but also have like these subcommittees also have their own clan signatures. And we wanted it to kind of all work together. So like a multi-DKG, multi-level, or multi-hierarchical DKG system. And he actually liked the idea. So I believe they worked on it, and we eventually chose a different path. But that was the beginning of our conversation with Dr. Kate. I think that was in 2019. And then from there, as we realized that DeFi summer was happening, I think 2020 or so, and we were starting to see that there's a lot of Oracle manipulation hacks. Like we were always trying to build a layer one with Oracle, but we realized let's actually talk about going to market as an Oracle only, even though the layer one technology is in the background. And that back then it was pretty much just Chainlink. So we were like, okay, let's enter the market as an Oracle. And then from there, let's reveal later that our plan is to be a vertically integrated stack, layer one with Oracle, with cross-chain communication all in one. So at that stage, we got some traction, went from five teammates. Actually, the team went through like up to 6, and then down to 3, right? During that first bear market. And then we got some traction with the Oracle, and we kind of got in contact with some old friends and engineers and partners. And then but before we knew, we kind of had like 6 of us again, then 8 of us, and 10 of us. We were able to raise some seed funding, and then it's kind of a slow but surely growth. And then during this period, after we raised some money, we actually invited Dr. Kate to just be an advisor initially, to advise us on the cryptography and such. And then as we grew more, we actually, maybe within 4, 5, 6 months later, asked him if he'd be willing to join Supra full time as a chief research officer. Once we kind of secured more foundation. And so that's the story there. And then once we had someone like Dr. Kate working with us, right? It opened up a lot of doors, meaning a lot of people want to work with Dr. Kate, let's put it that way. So this made it a lot easier for us to recruit great talent, and sometimes from different popular chains. Some folks on our team, engineers and researchers, cryptographers, have left other major layer ones to join Supra. And if it was just me and John, it wouldn't be possible. So, the collaboration with Dr. Kate and others, that helped us build a great team. And then it makes it easier for us to attract talent again. So yeah, this is the kind of story. It's been a long journey though.
Thank you. Now my dream will be to make another episode with like the whole team, or like a bigger like Supra panel. So let's see. Maybe this is gonna happen in 2025 or whatever, because so we can also have different perspectives and also know more about their stories. So thank you so much for sharing this, and thank you. So we know that the future is I think that the future will be for the builders, so people who are like actually building stuff, talking about development and software, of course. So now I'd like you to talk directly to them, like directly to the builders. So I would like you to mention, I don't know, 3 top challenges that you are solving for the builders. What do you think that they might be, or 2 or 4, whatever?
Sure. Yeah, so I'll say that for developers, you're going to probably realize that blockchain smart contracts are kind of passive. They don't really do much. You're probably going to realize, oh, wow, for me to do what I'm trying to do, I might need oracles. And oh, blockchains don't have automation. Oh, crap. Like my thing's not going to work without automation. You're going to like look around at the modular stack and approach and different services. You might be able to, we call them Frankenstein dApps. You can Frankenstein it together from different networks and figure it out. That's possible. Or what we're rolling out now, especially with automation and cross-chain communication. So Supra is already a smart contract platform with Oracle and on-chain randomness. Then it's about to have, like later this week even, on public testnet. automation for the first time. So we're the first layer one to do this way. Is no one's done this with Oracle and smart contract like this. And then also cross-chain communications like a week or two later. At that stage, you have a single infrastructure with powerful tools that can power your application to do things you just can't do elsewhere. So that's one. Two, I want to share that Supra is working towards a lot of revenue share models. Okay, so you come to Supra, you build, you have economic activity. Supra has some business models where through automation, where instead of letting external parties do the MEV extraction, taking value from the system itself runs automation tasks that can do potentially things like auto arbitrage or auto liquidations. Automation allows us to reimagine DeFi. All these DeFi ideas, DeFi primitives can be reimagined with automation. We call that AutoFi. And this is going to power some new types of revenue models that will be redistributed to the network-owned treasury, to the dApp where the opportunity came from, and also to node operators. Now, it's really interesting because there are, let's put it this way. Okay, I wasn't really supposed to go in the details here, but I think it's important to might as well share. We believe that automation, first of all, it's like it's premium execution space on the layer one. Okay, automation actually acts with what's called zero block delay. There's no latency. This will always be faster than even a high frequency trading firm submitting a transaction to the network. This automation will execute before that. So it's premium execution. Now in DeFi, where is premium execution useful for? Well, the biggest, most lucrative opportunities in DeFi tend to be, oh, there's a position that is about to be liquidated, or it's insolvent, or it needs to be liquidated. And usually there's like a 1 to 5%, sometimes more fee associated with that. And that's why there's so much racing to get that, because that can be thousands of dollars. Okay. Now, what's interesting is for automation, Supra can give end consumers the ability to bid. This is where we're working towards. Version one, I want to be clear, is not going to have the version two kind of auction model. Okay. Version one is going to be more simple. Version two is going to be about 10x more capacity, and we're going to be rolling out this auction model. So users and consumers, customers, they can say, "Oh, I think that position is about to be liquidated," like and I want to be the one that triggers that liquidation. So you can bid to have your task be the top of the automation priority list to execute this way, like yours first. So you're the one that executes that liquidation if it happens. Now, why is that interesting? Well, first of all, timely liquidations are good for DeFi, meaning it makes sure no position is underwater, right? So it keeps it healthy and balanced constantly. Now, let's suppose it's a big position, $1 million position, and unfortunately it's about to be liquidated. If you see that this has a 1% fee, 1% of $1 million is $10,000. Okay. And if you have strong conviction that this is going to get liquidated this month, for example, you might be willing to pay $3,000 worth of Supra token to reserve the right to be the first to execute that situation, earning you 10,000 potentially, right? So, and then maybe someone else comes in later and says, actually, I'm willing to pay 5,000 for this. So we'll work on that, the auction model, but this auction model is a way that people will keep on doing it until it's not profitable for them anymore. So, but someone maybe in this kind of exaggerated example is willing to pay $5,000 to increase the strong or almost virtually guarantee that if this position gets liquidated, they get the whole liquidation reward, which might be $10,000. My point though is this: that $5,000 and all these other, arbitrage and automation tasks, AutoFi tasks are paying gas and paying a fee. This fee is redistributed to our treasury, to the dApp, to the node operator, and the treasury can actually do more things like buy back or reinvest into the ecosystem, whatever it might be. But the key is that we have realized we have incredible new business models that, in my opinion, of course, this is not financial advice, all that stuff. I actually believe this. This model with the auction model is going to be probably 10,000 times more than transaction fees. Remember, blockchains, high throughput blockchains, transaction fees are very small. So it's hard to make a business out of that, right? It's how to keep the system sustainable if your transaction fees are some penny, like like even a thousandth of a penny sometimes, right? It's hard to make a business out of that. Whereas in this case with automation, because the automation tasks, the priority list, they are a limited supply. There's only so much compute capacity there. And sometimes there's strong reasons why you want to be the first one to execute. We think this is going to generate so much revenue potentially for the ecosystem and the stakeholders. And as a developer, why you should consider Supra is because if your application is generating those opportunities, the system automatically will revenue share with you as a new revenue stream for you. You might not otherwise be collecting that value. In traditional Web3, other blockchains, you're not getting that value. We're collecting it on the system level and redistributing it in real time. This is why it's really exciting because we're going to get off of block rewards. We're going to get off of transaction fees. We're going to use this for, we're going to use automation and the revenue generated by this to power the entire system and all of our ecosystem agendas. So, initiatives, yeah.
Thank you, Josh. And so, from as far as I know, so basically you have so many services that are integrated natively in one network. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
So my question now is just this one, just out of curiosity, but like, why can't add also other chains do the same as you are doing at Supra?
Yeah. So it really comes down to the network's architecture. This idea of tribes and clans. They would have to make very much huge different changes to their protocols. And if they made these changes, they would just look like Supra, so they'd be copying us. And then, which is whatever. I mean, we have the edge. We have more experience here anyways with this type of thing. But we're just fundamentally different architecture. So for example, no one actually runs consensus across the entire network, right? And then, but has subcommittees doing different types of compute. Sometimes they have different chains and zones and pair chains. They're just running their own networks, consensus across each of them individually. But Supra is running consensus across one global network, and each subcommittee can do different compute. So it's hard for them to copy us. They would have to make a lot of changes to their algorithms, and we've optimized almost everything we've done for our environment. So others, I think others will start to see the power of what we're doing and start to emulate it. But we got the edge, and by studying this so deeply and implementing and measuring it, we're able to see things that are going to be hard for other people to see. And we're going to be way ahead in terms of implementing it before others. But yeah, I think eventually folks will start to see that this is a very powerful design. I do want to just briefly mention, so some folks talk about token supply. I know it's unrelated, but I saw a comment here just a second ago. You folks got to understand, tokens it's just about proportion and ratio. So if we have 1 million token, a billion tokens, or 100 billion tokens, as long as all the ratios and proportions are kept the same, it's the same thing. So if let's say that Supra has 1 billion tokens and I have 10 tokens, and then Supra goes from 1 billion tokens supply, we just say, actually, we're going to change it from 1 billion to 10 billion for everyone. 10 billion total supply. I now have 1,000 tokens from 10 to 100. Everything's proportionate. So there's no change to the fundamental dynamics and economics of the system. I just want folks to understand that, because I get the question a lot, and I'm like, do you guys know any math at all? Like, come on, guys. Okay. Yeah, so I just want to say that that's not a very particularly smart question. Thanks.
No, thank you so much, Josh. I really enjoying this conversation. And I am a developer too. I also create tutorials. I like to build stuff. Sometimes I mess up during a live stream. Sometimes I use AI. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I hate it. Sometimes I use it and I like it. So I'd like to know from you, what kind of dApps do you see people building mostly in this integrated monolithic L1 Supra environment? And maybe you can also give some suggestions for people who are here of what they also would like to build. I'm super curious about this.
Sure. So any application that uses Supra's Layer 1 smart contract platform with our other services like Oracle or randomness, and very soon automation, and very soon cross-chain communication. Once again, automation and cross-chain communication, like, communicate to Ethereum as a bridge, so to speak, right? Although our design has no bridge, it's bridgeless, right? Any application that uses two or more of these combinations, we call that a super dApp. A super dApp that is able to do way more things than you can do on any other layer one as a result, unless you use external services and such. So we're seeing very creative things from NFT projects. We have NFT projects that are doing using AI generation for prompts and creating really interesting on-chain art. We have dApps, of course, for DeFi. DeFi is always a major one, actually. DeFi is a big one. So we have exchanges like DEXs, decentralized exchanges. What they're doing is they are working with an AI interface to make the trade simple. So you just talk to it in simple language. And then from there, what happens is it can craft your automation transaction. So you can do like limit orders, if this, then that logic. Like if the price of Bitcoin is here, the price of Ether is there. And also over time, we'll have more data on chain, including like fear index. If the fear is in the like fear index, and then also the volatility, the VIX is in the 30s or whatever it is, you can have multiple conditions, and then you can execute strategies on chain. So dApps that are kind of traditional DeFi primitives, borrow lending, decentralized exchanges, perpetuals, etc. These are all either here or coming very soon. And then some folks, really where the magic happens is when, we need to build the foundation of DeFi in the first place. So that's happening. But once we deploy automation, they're going to be able to do like automatic liquidations. So it keeps DeFi solvent. I'm really interested about the following one. This concept is called auto vaults. The idea is over time, you have a vault on like your pool of funds on Supra in a vault, and the automation with Oracle data can allow you to do basically on-chain portfolio management. What does that mean? It means like, yeah, the price of Bitcoin's here, the volatility is there, maybe move 20% of my asset into stablecoins. And then when the volatility smoothens out, repurchase my asset in real time. And it can self-correct based off of on-chain strategies. I think a lot of folks are going to create some interesting products out of this type of thing. And these types of things are deterministic, transparent, and it's called zero block delay execution. So no latency. So it happens fast and it's on chain. And I think developers are going to take these ideas and do all kinds of things. And I would recommend starting to pay attention that Supra's automation, layer one, Oracle, and automation, man, the smart contract with Oracle data and automation is a powerful combination. The blockchain goes from a passive blockchain to a proactive, responsive, real-time, alive system. And your strategy that you program into it is going to react in real time. So you guys are going to be doing a lot of interesting things. Keep in mind, our first iteration of automation is going to be somewhat limited in scope. Like for example, we think we can handle around 500 automation tasks per block, which means every second we should probably be able to execute 1,000 to 1,500 automation tasks per second. So it's decent, but the next version we think we can get to 10x of that capacity, right? So we're already designing and working on that, so 10 times more capacity. And this is once again, premium execution space. Developers, especially with the cross-chain communication component coming soon. First, we're connecting to Ethereum, but other EVMs after that and beyond. With automation, you can start to think about cross-chain automation. So maybe there's some yield strategy on one chain. You want to automatically move the funds to a different chain, to a different opportunity. Things like that are going to start to be possible with Supra's infrastructure. So yeah, I think developers are going to really love this stuff.
Thank you, Josh. I have one more question. I promise this is the last one about technical part and then developers, and then we can start to wrap up this the first conversation. I hope there will be more, but I'm really enjoying it. And I also would like to visit Hong Kong. I haven't visited yet. So I would like to ask about the bottom line impacts for developers. So what do you think is the difference between Supra and other chains?
Yeah, so these days, speed, like everyone has to be fast. Okay, so everyone is going to be fast. Okay, and then, but really, I think it's the single infrastructure that can do price fees, cross-chain communication, automation, multiple VMs, virtual machine languages. I think this is going to be, yeah, a simple way to get going with your ideas. And Move language is actually a very good place to get started here. I see a comment here, try to connect with the game with Supra tutorials. Sure, we can continue to make more tutorials. Absolutely. Please let us know what you're looking for. We are actually making tutorials for Move language. We have a lot of tutorials and walkthroughs on our docs. So go to docs.supra.com. You can check out, there's a lot of stuff out there, and we'll try to continue to make more examples and tutorials here and get them out there for you guys. And also reach out to us in Discord if you're having a hard time. We have DevRels that can help. We'll walk you through it. But for developers, I would say, one, we can start to do things you can't do elsewhere. But the big one ultimately is our idea of ultimately long-term revenue sharing with you developers. If you create an opportunity in your application that generates revenue for the system, we want to automatically redirect some of that revenue to your application to help you be more sustainable.
Perfect. And I might start also doing something soon. Let's see. We'll talk later,
cool.
of course. I would like to be involved more in this activity. So no worries, Zlatan. We got your back. Yes. Sorry. So is there anything else you want to talk about these bottom line impacts, or can we move on? Because we've been talking about these comments. Yeah.
Sure. No, we can move forward. I mean, basically, single stack is going to allow you to do more things you can't do elsewhere. You should be able to hit the ground running. We're almost full stack. Like the automation and cross-chain communication, I've been working on for a year and a half. The engineering on it, and we're very close to get a public testnet. From public testnet, it goes to mainnet, and we're going to continue to make better tutorials and demos and workshops and hackathons and accelerators. We're going to do all that stuff. So it's coming. Yeah, we want to make the developer have a great experience.
Perfect. Very nice. Nice to know that, and we'll see in the future what will happen. So, Josh, we already crossed the 1 hour. So, really, time has been really super quick. So, for the people who has been waiting for a whole hour, I would like to reward them. Maybe if you can share some of the future plans in the pipeline for Supra. So what's next? And maybe you can talk about something that's been developed that it's still there, but it's not like out there. Let me know some leaks.
Some alpha. Yeah, so I'll share what I can right now. Most of this is supposed to go out later this week or next week. So Supra 1.0 is the vertically integrated stack. Layer 1, price feed Oracle, cross-chain communication, automation, on-chain randomness, multi-VM system. That vision is almost completely brought to market. Testnet first and mainnet. We're working on Supra 2.0. Supra 2.0 is we realize this stack that we created, we're going to be able to reimagine all of DeFi with automation. So all the DeFi ideas, primitives can be reimagined with automation. We call that automatic DeFi or AutoFi. I can't go into the details about this right now, but there's some very powerful business models. I kind of touched upon them, but AutoFi, we think is going to be a huge sector, and no other blockchain is going to be able to do this except for Supra. We're the leaders in this, and yeah, tune in for more. We'll be sharing more later this week and next week for sure about this kind of stuff.
Okay, so we made this live stream a bit too early. This should have happened last week. I'm joking. We can also always make something else, and I think I will share also this video of the live stream, today's live stream on Twitter. So I'm sure people will like that. I think we're only just on YouTube now. Josh, any final words? Anything else that you want to share about public testnet, mainnet, something else, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah, I would just say that get involved. Testnet, is meant to be a replica of mainnet, right? So testnet is actually the more advanced network right now. Automation, cross-chain communication is about to be there. and try it out. Check out the docs. Try to build some early dApps. Hopefully, it can inspire you to do things. And it's early at Supra, so there's a lot of opportunity. So I would say take a shot, take a look at it, reach out to us. We want to be better, and we will always get better at supporting developers, because in the end, you guys build the amazing, creative, genius apps that people love. So we're an infrastructure provider. Looking forward to support you guys along the way.
Thank you so much, Josh. I'm really pumped, and now I want to explore the Supra, ecosystem more the people and the docs. I left a link below. I'm sure that you can find everything. I want to check also the status of tutorials, if I can help there. I'm sure that I can do something. I will see. And I like that also people in the comments, you're also sharing your ideas for beginners. Ideas for beginners tutorials, which language to use for games, to connect. So it's nice to have, the developers' brains. They now have been activated. So this was the goal of today's nice, just podcast, just to talk. Maybe in the future I will just code something live, or I will share some code. I will explore the Move language. So that's it. But I think that that's it for today. So, Josh,
thank you so much. I also have to go.
I'm running for sure. I know that you are very busy. Thank you so much for joining, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.